It seems that we are on the brink of witnessing a major historical moment, though it might not be for the best of reasons. In today's video, we'll discuss a significant reveal in detail and also touch on the most recent updates from across the nation. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to join our rapidly expanding community. Rachel Reeves is preparing to unveil what could be the largest tax hike in the history of the country. The Chancellor's first budget, set to be announced later this month, may include tax increases totaling up to £35 billion, making it the biggest tax increase ever recorded in cash terms. This move is in line with her promise to bring an end to so-called austerity while attempting to keep government departments from experiencing real-term spending cuts. This announcement follows growing speculation that her plans might include the first fuel duty hike in 13 years. On top of that, there's been pushback from cabinet members who are trying to prevent reductions in spending. Among those raising concerns is Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. Reports surfaced on Wednesday night suggesting that the Treasury is looking to address a £40 billion shortfall in the nation's finances. The extra funds are needed to cover various costs, including wage increases for workers, expenses associated with asylum seekers, and additional funding for the NHS. Sources within Whitehall have indicated that nearly all of this shortfall, potentially over 90% or more than £35 billion, would be covered by raising taxes rather than cutting spending. Despite this, the Chancellor is not expected to increase capital gains tax on second homes or rental properties. However, she is likely to raise the tax on the sale of shares, as reported by The Times. According to the newspaper, the 20% rate applied to the sale of shares is expected to increase by several percentage points. Additionally, she is reportedly considering reviewing the reliefs that currently exist within the tax system. Final decisions on these tax increases will also depend on how much of a financial buffer Reeves wishes to create should the economy underperform in the future. The Treasury was expected to submit its primary proposals to the Office for Budget Responsibility on Wednesday night. One insider remarked that you can't fix a spending problem solely through cuts. Another source added that the government is grappling with the financial strain of covering inherited spending commitments, which amount to £22 billion. If the goal is to avoid implied spending reductions, it's clear that this cannot be achieved through cuts alone. This leaves tax hikes as the only viable option. A tax increase of £35 billion or more would make it the largest budgetary tax increase ever recorded in cash terms, only eclipsed in real terms by Norman Lamont's 1993 budget, which raised £38.5 billion after adjusting for inflation. That budget, passed in the aftermath of one of the worst recessions since the war, involved raising taxes on energy bills and freezing tax thresholds, effectively amounting to a stealth tax on incomes. Reeves's proposed tax increases would surpass even those introduced by Rishi Sunak in 2021, when he raised the corporation tax rate from 19% to 25% in an effort to restore the public finances post-COVID. It would also exceed the stealth tax increase introduced by Jeremy Hunt in 2022, when income tax thresholds were frozen for 6 years. To date, the only cut announced by the Chancellor is the elimination of the universal winter fuel allowance for pensioners, a move expected to generate £1.4 billion in savings. There has been speculation that other areas of the budget, like the welfare bill, will largely remain untouched. However, Reeves' plans for public spending have already stirred anger among her fellow cabinet ministers, with several of them reportedly writing to Labour leader Keir Starmer to express their frustrations. According to The Times, Angela Rayner was among the ministers who voiced their concerns. This is because certain departments, like the NHS and Defence, have protected budgets with faster spending growth. As a result, other sectors, such as local government, transport, the environment, policing, prisons, and the courts, are expected to face tougher decisions. One senior government official told the Financial Times that many ministers and departments are feeling deeply unsatisfied with the resources they've been allocated, fearing that it will significantly hinder the government's ambitions and commitments. Of course, these ministers may not fully grasp the wider context, how difficult the inherited situation really is, nor the true scale of pressures on taxation and borrowing. But there's no doubt that the situation is extremely challenging for everyone involved. A source from one government department mentioned that negotiations are still ongoing, and it's no surprise that the spending review is proving to be difficult. Everyone is working together to make the necessary decisions as manageable as possible. A spokesperson from Downing Street emphasized that such exchanges are a standard part of the budgeting process, with departments outlining their challenges and opportunities. They reiterated that this would be a tough budget and that departments would need to make difficult decisions. One government minister pointed out that only a handful of ministers are involved in this pushback and that such political maneuvering doesn't necessarily do them any favors. This is all part of the usual back-and-forth negotiations, sometimes described as horse trading. Meanwhile, speculation is mounting that Reeves will implement the first fuel duty rise since 2011, when the tax was frozen by then Chancellor George Osborne. She is also widely expected to raise both capital gains tax and employers' national insurance contributions. Treasury officials are advocating for a fuel duty increase, warning that if Reeves does not raise the levy, she will need to find an additional £5 billion from elsewhere. In recent weeks, both Keir Starmer and Ed Miliband have refused to rule out a fuel duty increase, despite the fact that it has remained frozen since 2011. Should Reeves choose to go down this route, it would be highly controversial, as it could be viewed as an attack on working-class families. Just 4 years ago, when Reeves was still a backbencher, she criticized then-Chancellor Rishi Sunak for freezing fuel duty once again. Is the Starmer government performing well? Are they considering the needs of pensioners and addressing other financial concerns effectively? We'd love to hear your thoughts on everything we've discussed today. Feel free to share your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and spread the word by sharing it with your friends. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.